The host is here, and we're not talking about me. We are talking about Jesse Palmer. Welcome to another edition of Playing the Field. I am the host of this podcast. I'm Ryan Field, joined now by our panel of experts, as always, Miss Gina Sirico out at KABC in Los Angeles, and staring straight across from me, Jenn Matarese from ABC here in New York. Ladies, thanks so much for being here again. We have an exciting show for you today, don't we?
Yes, I am pumped. I love talking to Jesse.
And Gina, we always seem to get some good gossip from Jesse.
He is so good at teasing the show, hyping it up, and making me want to watch. And so, yeah, and he's just so much fun to talk to. So excited to chat.
Well, without further ado, let's welcome in the man himself, Jesse Palmer, joining us now from sunny Miami, Florida. And just this season is flying by. We started with 25 men. We are down to 7. What has been the biggest surprise to you thus far?
Probably the drama in the house is the biggest surprise to me up at this point. Normally every season, there's going to be a little bit of that between one or two people. This was a group of men I felt like that, they are, there's some short tempers in the house, and on the road. And some of the drama is really kind of, it's sort of bled from episode to episode, and it's still kind of going on. I think oftentimes in the past, if two people are sort of at odds, you expect some of that to get squashed within 2 episodes, a couple of weeks, and then you kind of move on. Someone gets eliminated, sent home, or they just figure it out. That hasn't been the case. And I think that's, kind of what we've seen from Devin and Sam M and Thomas and some of the other guys. That's kind of been kind of a reoccurring theme week in, week out. Which probably was one of the bigger surprises for me.
Me and all the guys were shoveling, and we all look up and see that Devin has stole our girlfriend.
Are we shocked at all? No, not at all.
I've learned not to be surprised. I think it shows a huge sign of disrespect, and I don't think that's a quality that Jenn is really looking for as well, but I really don't care. Lions don't concern themselves with the opinions of sheep.
What was it about Sam M that he just couldn't seem to let go of that drama with Devin? Why couldn't he just get out of the way with that?
It's a great question. I think sometimes people just have personalities that don't allow themselves to do that, and they need to see something finished. Once something starts, it has to get finished one way or the other. And I think, we've seen in the past when two people get together and say, hey, just agree to disagree, let bygones be bygones, and we move on. But that has not yet been the case with Sam M. So he's got a very strong will. We know that. It kind of remains to be seen if he's going to be able to do that or not moving forward. But right now, while his focus and attention is on Jenn, it feels like a lot of his energy is also being directed toward Devin. And how that impacts his journey here kind of remains to be seen.
Well, and let's talk about Devin, because it does seem like he is a lightning rod for some of these guys. Like, first of all, he's got the connection with Jenn, and I think that's what triggers everybody. Yeah. But he doesn't seem to care about their responses. So talk to me about him, or us about him, and just your thoughts about him and how he's kind of navigated this season so far.
Yeah, Devin was one of those guys, I think, from day one. I was watching him day one, and I was curious to know how his personality was going to mesh and blend in the house with some of the other men, because he does have that kind of personality where he is a bit brash, he is a bit outspoken, and certainly that rubs people the wrong way at times. But you're right, Devin, maybe the best thing he's done so far is he really has kept this sort of linear focus toward Jenn and just kind of really, really keying on that. He's making an effort. Sometimes, and I think in the other guy's eyes, he's taking time away from some of the other men. But Devin is the first person to admit he showed up for Jenn. He didn't show up to be boys with anybody else. This isn't a big fraternity for him. And so he's kind of keeping his eyes on the prize. We've heard the saying, keep the main thing the main thing.
Too many times we've heard that.
We've heard it a lot. Stand on business, 10 toes down, keep the main thing the main thing. That's what Devin's doing, though. It's not coming out of his mouth, but that is what he's doing. He is connecting with Jenn. oftentimes I'll tell you, it's crazy. There aren't a lot of people that can devote so much time and energy on the guys and constantly fighting, constantly defending, constantly engaging, and still have juice enough for Jenn and for love and for furthering that connection. Devin's got a lot in the tank, man. He really does. And there were a lot of times I'd be there watching, or I'd walk in on a cocktail party and just think, like, this can't keep up. Can't keep this up. You can't fight two wars on two fronts. You can't and make it. But up to this point, Devin has been able to do that. I don't know how much he has left. We'll see. I mean, something's got to give at some point. So it's reason to keep watching, because he's had a lot of stamina up to this point. There's no doubt. But how long can this keep going, I guess is the question.
Well, that's been one of the fascinating things to watch here this season as it's unfolded. And one of my favorite moments, really one of the most polarizing moments, is when Aaron gets kicked off and then drops the bomb on her. Well, basically says that he's leaving and drops the bomb on Jenn, that people here in the house aren't here for the right reasons. There's a lot of guys that are like that.
I care about you, and I know there are so many good guys downstairs.
Thank you.
And I just want you to make the right decision for you. I'm not going to name names, but there are people that aren't ready. There's people that I don't think they'll be ready at the end like you are.
And it's not often we see when a contestant gets walked out that there's no hug, there's no goodbye, but she basically walked him out. There was no smile, there was no kiss, and that was that. And then I liked how she had her boss moment afterwards when she came into the guys in the house and said, listen, if you guys aren't here for the right reason, get the heck out. And does that kind of tell us about Jenn and her personality as the Bachelorette and how much business she means? And what did you think of Aaron dropping that bomb before he left?
Yeah, I think Jenn really appreciated Aaron saying that. What I don't think Jenn appreciated was him not helping her out at all with any names, and kind of telling her that you're just going to have to figure it out for yourself, which, we've seen that in the past before. And at the end of the day, ultimately, that's something that does rest on Jenn's shoulders. But I know that irked her a lot. I remember talking with her that night. She was upset. And I know that was something that she really wanted to address with the guys right away, and she sort of took that opportunity. One of the things I loved about watching Jenn up to this point, weeks into this now, is you're really kind of seeing, I think, a progression and a slow and steady progression and a maturation in Jenn in terms of her own personality. I think one of the things that she's talked a lot about in the past is some of her dating history and in past relationships. She hasn't always stood up for herself. And I think she's learning to do that and to take charge and to sort of see some of that power and use that to her advantage and speak up for herself and prioritize herself. I think this is, I think Jenn would tell you these are some of the issues she's had in past relationships, understanding her own worth and her own value and being okay standing up for that. Jenn is an incredible person that's deserving of love and deserving of this opportunity and meeting a great and wonderful man. But sometimes you got to be able to put your foot down. And I thought that moment right after she spoke to Aaron and Aaron left, I think was one of the first indicators that we've had on Jenn's journey that she's now willing and able to do that. It's really empowering. It's been fun to watch.
We did see her get a bit shook, though, when Austin left. Why did that shake her so badly? And it seemed like the men handled it really well, though, and helped, pick her back up.
Yeah, great question. Very vulnerable moment for Jenn when Austin left. I know she was not expecting that at all. Yeah, and I certainly don't ever want to speak for Jenn in that regard. What I can say from my own experience, having been the Bachelor in the past, is oftentimes I think when you come into the show as the lead, you kind of anticipate or expect everybody's just going to fall in love with you simply because you are the Bachelor or you are the Bachelorette. And it's kind of a given, but that's not always the way it works. It really is a two-way street, and that's fair. I know there's a lot of pressure at times for the lead to feel like it's not just the guys that have to put their best foot forward for you. You've got to do the same, and you've got to meet them both. You got to meet them halfway. I don't think Jenn expected Austin to leave. I don't think she was maybe as aware of where they were, what their connection was, and maybe what Austin was feeling. But I also commend Austin for doing that too, and taking that opportunity, being honest with Jenn and not wasting her time, and just saying, hey, you know what? It's been great being here, and I'd love the opportunity to meet you, and I'm just not there.
Coming into this, I told you I was always going to be honest and upfront with you.
100%. You should be.
At every moment I can. And, I feel like I've been playing catch up this whole time. I really do. You have some amazing guys here that are ready to give you absolutely everything that you deserve.
Mm-hmm.
And with the way that things have gone for me in this journey, I don't think that I can do that.
What are you saying?
I'm saying I don't think it's fair to you, and I don't think it's fair to the other guys that I continue this journey with you.
Okay. I mean, it is a bit of a shock. It's not what I was expecting. It's not what I wanted to hear, but I can understand if this is what you want to do, and I can accept that, and I will respect that.
Because there's a lot of guys, I think, that would have just kind of kept their mouths shut, hope they get another rose. Maybe we'll get a one-on-one date. Maybe we can finally break through that wall. Hometowns aren't very far away. We've seen relationships speed up so quickly in a very, very short amount of time, especially around this time of the season. To Austin's credit, though, he just wasn't feeling it. So he decided to be honest. He let her know. That certainly shook Jenn. She felt like she wanted to be open and vulnerable with the rest of the guys and admit that. And that was a side of her that I don't think Jenn had really shown the guys yet. And I agree with what you said. I thought the guys, how they received that was heartwarming, to really sort of kind of be present in that moment, appreciate and understand where Jenn was coming from. And I know Jenn really appreciated that as well.
Yeah, those moments, especially when she was talking about feeling worthless and all that, it felt relatable to so many of us who have felt so insecure about relationships and this and that. But I do, like you mentioned, I do love that the guys kind of had her back. You as the host, it feels to me like you do have that perspective that maybe, others don't. So what were the kind of things that you talked to her about after that? Because I feel like you probably were like a great big brother to her in that moment.
I think that the most important thing in moments like that, because again, I've been there and I had someone go home on my season too, and that shook me up as well. And I have my own insecurities, and I've had those a lot like Jenn, like a lot of people at home watching the show. You question things along the way. Moments like that in the moment are very, very hard to get over, and it forces you, and it just creates all this doubt in your head, and it sets up a wall that sometimes is really, really hard to get by. My biggest advice to Jenn in that situation is simply, you don't need all of the men to fall in love with you. You just need one. If it's the right one, then that's all you need. And to kind of try your best, as hard as it is, to just refocus your energies on the men that are still there. I think when she went in and she had that talk with the guys and she saw how receptive they were to her, I think that really kind of brought her closer to a lot of them. And it took Austin leaving to do that, ironically enough. But at the end of the day, this was how her journey was supposed to sort of play out. And I think she's doing an amazing job. At this point of the journey, every single day, you're seeing new layers of Jenn, and you're finding out more about her, and she's able to overcome a lot of her fears. It's not just falling out of planes and jumping off of towers, the physical things, but it's the emotional things. It's the barriers and the walls that she's built up from past relationships that she's now conquering. And that's why kind of in the beginning of all this, when they were kind of previewing her season, they said, the power is hers, the power is in her hands. This is what we're talking about. She's now kind of taking that. She's defeating these demons and slaying these dragons, these emotional traumas and things that have happened to her in the past. And she's assuming all of that power, and she's going to be able to wield it and use it. And that's what I think is really, really special about Jenn's journey up to this point.
And your heart-to-hearts with her throughout this season have no doubt added another layer to this, and some food for thought talking about your journey. The fact that you were eating so much on The Bachelor has basically ruined it for all the contestants in the ensuing seasons. We never see anyone eat a meal outside of you with the fried chicken in Joey's season. But is there some regret on your part on how that went down in your season? And do you wish you had eaten less for the benefit of the rest of the ensuing seasons?
Absolutely. Being the fifth Bachelor, looking back to all this, I thought I was just trying to set everybody else up for success as this franchise went on. Little did I know, from the food standpoint, which is really one of the most important parts, especially if you're an Epicurean like myself, completely ruined it for everybody else. I was completely unaware at the time that I was doing that. If anything, like I'm a bit embarrassed.
Aw.
Like on dates when I was at that age, that's literally what I was doing, because that was just me. I just love eating, love food. I get excited. I'm talking through it, and you can see it on the women's faces during our dates. They're just looking at me like, is this dude serious? He's joking, obviously. He's spitting corn on my face. He's spitting truffled corn on my face, telling me about his past relationships. It makes no sense. So, I mean, the cat's out of the bag. It's like you break the fourth wall. There were a lot of firsts on my season. The first impression rose. We had the first villain, amongst a bunch of other things. But ruining the food for every person that's ever been on the show since, unfortunately, is one thing that I did as well, and I am eternally sorry for that.
Has it changed the way you eat now? And what does your wife say about it? I mean, and also on a more serious note, do you ever look back at that time as the Bachelor and think, wow, I really learned this or that about myself, and has it changed you?
Yeah. So the first part of that question, now I don't eat on dates. I just
That's a good thing.
And it's just like the show. I just let the food sit there. I let my wife eat, finish. And then it's a doggy bag. We take it home, and then I get to eat it when I'm all by myself. Yeah, I learned a bunch of weird stuff about myself, and just it's always the small mannerisms that you never notice and that people don't tell you. So the eating thing was one, but another thing I always said on the show, and I think we ended up making like a blooper reel out of it, kind of when we did the tell all or we did the AFR at the end, right? We'd always say the word amazing, and I say it's a descriptive, it's an adjective. It's also a filler. It was like a safe word for me when I didn't know what to say. Amazing. And I did this entire collage of it, which I did notice after. Also, I was very sweaty back in the day. So I learned that too. But I played pro football. So it's like I never noticed it because I was always sweaty. Training camp was terrible.
Yeah.
And so, but there I'm watching it. And of course, at the time, I'm watching it with all my teammates. So I heard about that in the locker room for years and years after. But yes, a lot of self-discovery looking back and seeing myself.
Well, you can take that self-discovery now and kind of pass it along to the leads now, to the Bachelor, to the Bachelorette, to the Golden Bachelorette. Can we talk for a moment about Joan?
Yeah, for sure, of course.
You obviously, her season is going on. Talk to us. Tell us how you feel she's doing, how things are going. Talk to her about it, her as a lead. I love her. I think she's great.
Yeah, I agree. I echo all of those sentiments. I was so excited to kick that season off. The first ever Golden Bachelorette. Can't think of anybody better than Joan to do it. Huge fan of hers. And was, again, just because it's the first time, you don't know what to expect. So was really more than anything just excited for her to kind of get underway. Joan she's so stoic. She's elegant. She's kind. She's so intelligent. She just portrays this amazing energy that has been constant, I think, throughout the filming of her season. She's so hopeful to find love and to do that, and to find that sort of that love in that person that she can spend her golden years with. The interesting thing about the Golden Bachelor on Gary's season was that we had no idea how that was going to unfold and go with Gary and with the mansion full of golden ladies. It's kind of similar this time too. I mean, on night one, I felt way more confident about Joan. I know Joan a little bit. That was more of a given. I always know Joan's going to be able to handle it, but when you fill the house up with a bunch of dudes in their, in their golden years, like it's going to be a bunch of guys on the couch with like their hands down their pants.
Oh no!
Fix the washer, the sink, how to unclog something. They're putting these dudes in bunk beds. How's that going to go? So there's a lot of discovery. I was just talking about my own self-discovery, looking back at my show. We've learned a lot doing the Golden Bachelor as well. Joan's the least of our problems. I'll just say that. She's the straight and narrow. It's everybody else that you got to worry about.
That's a nice tease.
I mean, when you have all these, as you say, golden men in the house, I mean, we can't have these rose ceremonies that go up until the first night until the sun comes up. I mean, there has to be some sort of curfew or lights out for these guys. Is it like a 9 p.m. cutoff? I mean, you have guys that are used to being in bed by then.
Dude, your mouth to God's ears. I mean, people ask me all the time, like, what if there was one thing you could change about the entire franchise, what would it be? And the answer is, you got to make these rose ceremonies on night one shorter. We got to get out of there. These dudes are napping, they're sleeping, they're falling asleep. It's like this thing can't go on. I mean, Gary and his golden ladies somehow went till like 8 a.m.
Wow.
I have no idea how they did that. And so I'm not, I'm just going to say, these dudes, they have energy. Joan has energy. And I walk into the mansion night one and I'm like, going to meet Joan out front, going to meet a bunch of dudes, send them in. 4 hours later, let's wrap it up. Lock it up. We got to lock it up. It's like, let's get a rose ceremony and let's get this thing, let's get the show on the road. And that never happens. It never happens. So, I hope the powers that be are listening and we can find a way to make this a lot more sensitive to our sleep habits. That just never seems to be the case on night one.
Zoom just agreed with you. It made the
No, I was like, someone's listening.
Even Zoom agrees.
That's right.
One thing that people just really loved about the Golden Bachelor was the dynamic between the women themselves and how they got along and the support they had for each other. Will we see that with the men? Can you tell us that, or is there more drama headed our way?
I agree with you. The one of my biggest takeaways about the Golden Bachelor were the women and just how much they supported each other. I think that scene early when Susan was doing Teresa's hair for the very first one-on-one date of the year, that's one that'll always stand out to me and I'll always remember. I really feel like that kind of encapsulates how much support the women had for one another. I do think that personalities and the blend of personalities is very important. I think you can conceptualize that like when you're casting and go, this is really what we're going to be going for. You could ask everybody, are you going to get along with people? Or are you the type of person that likes to butt heads if you don't agree? And everybody will say the right thing. And you'll get them there. And it's like a Bordeaux blend. It's like the perfect blend of wine. And you get the extract and it works. But that is not a guarantee. And when you put a bunch of dudes who know everything and they know how to fix everything, it may not be the case. Listen, some of the guys are team players. There's no doubt. And like you naturally, you make friends, you get together. But I cannot guarantee that it is going to be as what's the word, cohesive necessarily as what we saw in Gary's season.
Interesting.
Jesse with all the big teases. My goodness. Let's talk about, speaking of not cohesive, let's talk about Paradise, because we heard that's coming back. And I know we, Jenn and myself at least, are super excited about it.
And Ryan.
Yeah. Excited.
Come on now.
Excited as well. Let's talk. I mean, how excited are you that it's coming back? I think Bachelor Nation was a little nervous when we didn't get this season, but we've got a lot going on.
Yeah, super, super, super excited. I love the beach. I've loved my time there. I think it's tremendous. I know the fans want it. I know a lot of the cast want it. And so, again, all those decisions are way out of my pay grade. But when we got the news, I was very, very stoked myself. And I think it'll be interesting too. And now, of course, my first question is, where are we going? Who's showing up? Who am I going to be meeting at the stairs of paradise to send down to the beach? And with Jenn Season's cast of guys, with Joey Season's cast of women, and how cool would it be? And I don't know if this is going to happen, but could you? And I'm not saying this is being talked about. This is just us talking, and I've thoughts. Why couldn't people from Golden Bachelor or Golden Bachelorette go to the beach?
I said
course.
that. People thought I was ridiculous.
Would it be a nude beach though, Jess? That's what I'm afraid of.
It just needs to be a beach. It needs to be. It needs to be a. Oh, not a nude beach.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for clearing that up. Yes.
Zoomies, I give the thumbs up on that. I was like, I don't know. It's like, hopefully it's it just needs to be nice fan, some nice water, preferably not 180 degrees, crabs. But whatever. Listen, beggars can't be choosers. I'm just saying, you brought up Paradise. I get excited about it. My ears perked up. I have thoughts, and I'm open to all suggestions.
That could get super interesting.
I feel like you have an in. You know some producers. You can probably have a conversation about it.
I know people. I know. Trust me. Those questions will be asked.
Well, you definitely have some pull, my friend. We know that. And before we let you go, the end of episode 5 here on The Bachelorette dropped an incredible teaser, not just what we could expect next week, but what we can expect the rest of the season. And there's one point where I think you had teased this earlier in the season, where you said this has never happened before in Bachelor or Bachelorette history. Can you shed any light on that without giving any spoilers? And how excited should we be for what's about to unfold here on the rest of Jenn's journey?
I guess the one thing I'll say, and I'm trying to be careful not to give too much away. The last couple weeks of Jenn's journey are completely opposite of what I thought was going to happen earlier in the season. Like, if you had pulled me aside in New Zealand and said, "Hey, who do you see? How's this going to end? Who's going to make it to the end? And how's it going to go?" I would have given you a list. And that is completely not what happens at the end.
Wow.
Yeah, it's there are like there's an arc to every journey, right? And we see this on every season. It's a bit like a roller coaster, goes up and down sometimes. Jenn's I feel like her season has been going like this, and it's about to go like this, and then go like this, like this, and then go like this. It's just it's like the worst roller coaster, because it like the crazy stuff happens at the end, and it's a slow build. Jenn is on this incredible transformation. Her story is just remarkable. But there's a lot happening with the guys as well, with the men. And so it's kind of like it all kind of comes together. And it's just something simply that the ending is something that we just have not seen. I don't know a better way to put it than that. It just not, I usually have a pretty good read. Like thousands and thousands of hours get filmed,
of course,
at the start, and then it all kind of gets pieced together into a story that makes it make sense for people at home. I'm usually pretty good at kind of reading that and kind of figuring out, okay, we'll show this, we won't show this, but we'll show this, and then this is going to be the end. This was entirely different than what I thought.
Dun dun dun!
Wow, I'm so excited now.
I can't wait.
Great tease.
Jess, that really set it up for us for the rest of the season. They come back stateside starting next week, and we can't wait to watch all of this unfold. You, my friend, were, dare I say, amazing. Thank you for coming on with us today.
Good use of amazing. Appreciate it. I hope you can eat and talk with your significant others, and enjoy your meals.
I said we should start eating on this podcast while we talk, but I got turned down with that idea.
I'll go for that.
Thanks so much, Jess. We'll talk to you again soon.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
So, Gina, to your point, Jesse delivered on the gossip. We got some teasers, and there's a whole lot of juicy stuff for us to look forward to, not only with The Bachelorette, but with the Golden Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, all kind of good stuff coming down the pipe.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I love that he teased how things may not be the same as the Golden Bachelor with the men. I really cannot wait to see how this plays
The hands
out.
down their pants on the couch, that was a great
Yeah, like maybe that was a visual I didn't need.
None of us did.
Also, right? But also, I just think it's going to be interesting. It's something that we've talked about, and he kind of reiterated it, that like men just react to things differently. So I think it's going to be very interesting to watch her season, and I can't wait until we get to chat with her, as her season begins, in a couple of months here.
I really hope one of these guys is a handyman or a mechanic, and we just see shots of him fixing random broken things all over Bachelor Mansion. I think that would be fabulous.
Installing a new chandelier in the kitchen. Can't wait to see it. It'll be the home improvement edition of the Golden Bachelorette. And I was most intrigued by what he said about what we can expect on The Bachelorette and talking about how the last couple of episodes, I mean, listen, this guy is as veteran of a Bachelor expert, outside of you two, of course, as there is. And for him to say there's things that he didn't expect and it went completely upside down and this is going to be unlike anything we've seen before, in essence, I think says it all here, Jen.
How could you not want to watch after hearing that? Now I'm more intrigued. Like, it sounds like things are going to go haywire, and I'm ready for it. How about you, Gina?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's my thing. He said his thing was he always says amazing. I always say absolutely.
Absolutely.
Great. Yes. But yes, I think that, in the tease, we saw him ask her if she really was sure she wants to do this.
Right.
So whatever that is, I feel like this is going to be interesting. I'm intrigued as to what that is because I have a feeling whatever that is the thing we've never seen before.
Can I offer up my guess?
Yeah.
Now, should we point out to the viewers that you two may or may not know some spoilers?
We don't know this.
They're never
No spoilers.
We don't know this.
Okay.
So they might not be right anyway.
And I don't know. You know me. I just take it week by week.
Mm-hmm.
Much like my motto in life, the less I know, the better. So in this case, when they do the little thing where she says, I can't let you propose to me, I think she proposes to him. That's my prediction.
I think it does seem like she might be faking someone out. I agree with you.
Gina, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I feel like that, but I feel like we've seen that before. I feel like there have been bachelorettes who've maybe done similar things. I'm really interested in what the thing is that we've never seen before.
I'm wondering if somebody leaves or she gets rid of somebody and they come back for her, or maybe it's Matthew.
Matthew? I thought I sent you
Yeah. I'm really curious as to what that thing is. Maybe, maybe it is somebody that comes back. Maybe Sam M comes back and is ready to fight Devin.
My memory is not great. Has a bachelorette ever proposed to a contestant? Has a bachelorette ever said, will you marry me?
They may have said the words, but I've never seen anyone get down on one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Jen strikes me as someone who wants to take control of her journey, and this is the way I want to do things in my life. Up to this point, I've had so many bad experiences with men that I want to do things differently. So I could see that happen. That is my guess.
Like, do you really? I don't know. Maybe I'm too traditional in this sense. Like, didn't she always want someone?
But they're on a dating show. There's nothing traditional about this. They're on a dating reality show, Gina. There's nothing traditional here.
Well, no. However, there is tradition on this show.
That's true.
And
Sure.
We're 21 seasons into The Bachelorette and 28 or 29 into The Bachelor. And
this is something that we've never seen before, apparently. Wouldn't that be something?
I guess we'll see.
We will all find out together. A lot to look forward to. We're only 5 episodes into this season. I can't believe it.
Crazy.
But there's been a lot happening, and we can't wait to see what's yet to come. And Jen, reminder to our audience about subscribing.
Please follow us. Click follow, hit subscribe, follow us so that you can get the latest episodes of Playing the Field right when they drop.
And we can talk about all this drama that's about to unfold together. Thank you so much for being with us on this episode. For Gina and Jen, I'm Ryan. We'll see you next time on Playing the Field.